Hey, my name is Zeus Tipado. I'm a writer for Healing Maps, and I'm here to talk about the conundrum of microdosing. Microdosing is certainly a phenomenon that has caught attention in recent years. Microdose courses and products promise life improvement and mental sharpening. When it comes to the illicit psychedelic market, psilocybin-infused chocolate bars are neatly sectioned off in microdosing squares. If you're watching your calories, small capsules of finely ground shrooms sold in fancy apothecary bottles are always available. People across the world are emphatically telling stories of how microdosing gives them a cognitive edge in their day-to-day activities. So how can they be wrong? Some of these people have credentials in the psychedelic community. Heck, they've even spoken at psychedelic conferences discussing the benefits of microdosing. Surely this is a reason to believe that a microdose of psychedelics has a positive effect on mental well-being. Well, you knew this part was coming. The part where I tell you that after looking at nearly every sociological, psychological, and neurological study about microdosing, I'm comfortable saying that you're being deceived. You're being lied to, and surprisingly, it may not even matter. So what defines a microdose? Well, clinically, it's anything from 1/10 to 1/20th of a normal dose of psychedelics. Of course, what's a normal dose of psychedelics? This is where it gets a bit murky. A tab of LSD is typically 100 micrograms. According to our microdosing formula, a single tab must be divided into at least 10 parts, or just 10 micrograms to be considered a microdose. With doses this minuscule, how would anyone feel anything? Well, that's a feature of the practice. Microdosing is meant to be subperceptual, which means it doesn't provide sensory information that your brain can process. There is no trip. You feel nothing. According to the microdosing community, the subperceptual nature of microdosing allows a person to go about daily activities while getting the behavioral and mood benefits often associated with psychedelics. At the beginning of 2021, Imperial College London conducted one of the largest psychedelic studies ever. Nearly 200 people were given either placebo or microdose psychedelic. People could choose from LSD or psilocybin. What researchers found was that microdose psychedelics work as good as placebo. There were no statistical difference in reported well-being in both the microdose and non-microdose category. This shouldn't come as a shocker. I mean, we've known microdosing has little to no effect since the first clinical study of the practice in 2018. Charles University researchers looked at the effects of microdosing psilocin, which is the compound psilocybin turns into when you eat it, along with ketamine. And they found that there were no noticeable benefits of microdosing. In fact, they suggested microdosing may be counterproductive to mental benefits. Another study from the same year by Goldsmiths University of London used a randomized double-blind study procedure and administered 5, 10, and 20 microgram amounts of LSD. They concluded LSD conditions were not associated with any robust changes in self-reported indices of perception or concentration. You know, there are many other microdose studies that report the same findings. The findings that the measured behavioral effects of microdosing is insignificant or as effective as placebo. This conclusion isn't from a rogue lab, but a global effort of strenuous research with experimental protocols created by the top psychologists, pharmacologists, and neuroscientists. Despite all of this, people that microdose still vehemently believe the practice works. And maybe they're right. Could there be some other non-pharmacological shenanigans at work? Like maybe placebo? Placebo effect is a real thing. Expecting something to happen in the absence of a drug can cause neurological and behavioral changes that aren't fully understood. The interesting thing about placebo is the effects work even when a person knows they're taking a placebo. In 2016, participants openly took a placebo pill to treat lower back pain. The results were pretty shocking. People that took the placebo while knowing it was a placebo still reported a significant reduction in back pain. A recent study on selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, which are antidepressants like Prozac, Lexapro, saw people that knew they were taking SSRIs had a clinically superior response compared to people that didn't know they were taking the drug. Yet, they were both taking the same drug. So, if microdosing shows no significant pharmacological or neurological modulations to behavior under clinical research, yet a person still believes the practice is having a beneficial effect on them, why should they stop? Better yet, Why be deterred from microdosing just because science can't fully explain the non-pharmacological placebo effect it has? If you believe microdosing is helping you, and this belief has made your life better or has allowed you to manage daily stress without harming others, it would be ridiculous for me to proclaim you should stop doing what you're doing. It would be equally dismissive for me not to inform you that the marketing claims of microdosing courses and coaches and products are severely misleading and downright false when compared to the current science surrounding it. And the psychedelic renaissance that we're all now in, it's important to keep your mind open, but not too open where your brain just falls on the floor.